is actually kind of an appropriate start for this video. Now I'm here at Disney's Port Orleans French Quarter Resort. May I say, quite the beautiful resort. I love the look of the hotel rooms and the open courtyards, and then of course it backs up to the Sassagoula River. A very, very peaceful and very quiet, very fun resort, and then you go to the lobby and get beignets. It's a great time. But my friends, we are here today, at some point in the future, to go on Tiana's Bayou Adventure, one of my most anticipated rides for this trip, because it's brand new, obviously, but the animatronics look so good. But it's got mixed reviews, and I want to see it for myself so I can make an informed decision on what I think the attraction it does well and does not so well. And so, of course, before we hit the Magic Kingdom, before we hit the Bayou, we're gonna open up here at the French Quarter, enjoy some peace and quiet before we tumble down that gigantic drop, not into the Briar Patch, but into the Bayou. By me, not by you. So join me, if you will, as we head over to the Magic Kingdom to begin our Bayou adventure. I'm actually said that so many times already. I'm very excited. Last week, as of you're watching this, I was given the honor of riding Tiana's Bayou Adventure for the first time, and I do say honor because it's still on the virtual queue system, even though Disney said that it was temporary. And I guess if it does end at some point, that would mean temporary. But they promised a shorter virtual queue window this time compared to when, Tron and Ratatouille and Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. Don't even get me started on that. That ride is still a virtual queue. But nevertheless, I digress. We snagged ourselves a boarding group and headed over to the Magic Kingdom to ride this attraction, so I can say once and for all whether it's good or whether it's bad. All right, boarding group called. Tiana's Bayou Adventure open and operating. Did I just jinx it? We will see, but it looks good. I don't know how anybody can look at this and say that it looks bad. I can kind of get it, next to Big Thunder Mountain doesn't make a whole ton of thematic sense, but this on its own, even with the rest of Frontierland and Adventureland, looks amazing. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful attraction. And then, with the whole Cars thing in Frontierland and Beyond Big Thunder Mountain, I think it'll be a lot more cohesive, especially when all of that opens back up. But now I'm just yapping because I'm excited. It is time, my friends. I've been waiting for so long. Ride sign, so everyone knows what the ride sign looks like. Okay, let's go. Wow, the first time I've been down here without, there's a line, but you know what I mean. Without construction walls. Okay, somewhat of a party back here. I say that as the jazz song ends. Thank you, Disney. No, thank you. Oh, there's the jazz. Now, for the most part, the exterior queue of Tiana's Bayou Adventure is the exact same as it was for Splash Mountain. The same wooden switchbacks, although there are a couple new sets. And by a couple, I mean, I think exactly two. One of them being the garden that I showed you previously, and the other being this really cool Tiana's Foods car, which is not recycled from the Great Movie Ride, believe it or not.
If you want to help me out musicians, meet me on the river. Thanks, y'all.
Now, the interior queue, on the other hand, is far different from what preceded it. The bones of the same building are there because it is the same building, but it's much more closed in and much more, modernized. With literal technology. The first part of the interior queue is Tiana's office at Tiana's Foods, which is why her memorabilia is scattered throughout. And if you're worried about not hearing enough jazz while in line for this attraction, don't you worry, Disney has you covered on all of those bases. It's great. Okay, I can't lie, this queue is a little long, and it's a little warm. They could have afforded a couple canopies, like at Tiana's Palace. But overall, not bad. I think we've been waiting for maybe 30 minutes, so not the worst wait ever. It's just Florida sun, man. When I first joined the virtual queue, I was hoping that by Disney using this system, that the actual wait time in line for the ride would be shorter. However, that did not really prove to be the case. We waited for about 50 minutes to about an hour, which was a lot. And if you could tell by the sweat glistening on my face in the previous clip, it was really hot outside and there wasn't a lot of shade. So take note of that, Disney. I'll tell you right now, this queue does not feel very virtual. It feels very, very physical as I'm standing in it. It's very much a physical queue. I wish it were virtual. And you only really spend the last, I don't know, 5 to 10% of your total wait time inside, so once you're inside, it's not as bad, but you're only in there for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. Outside needs shade. I don't know why Disney is so shade averse these days. I don't know why they don't like it. Into the salt dome, because it's not a mountain. They like filled in the walls. That's kind of neat. Wow. See, this is like very Splash Mountain-y to me right now. This feels like it could, oh, but look at the salt. You can see the salt. That's so cool. That's awesome.
Hey y'all, when you see me, please keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle.
This feels like I'm in line for Splash Mountain now. It's kind of crazy. I also love the attention to detail, putting the salt in the salt mine. That's awesome. Now, I could be wrong, but is all of this filled in, or am I thinking of Disneyland? Because I often think of Disneyland when I think of Splash Mountain. I'm kind of sad if it is filled in, because I'd like seeing the vlogs go around and around, you know, through the finale and whatnot, or through the scene after the finale. But that's kind of sad. I miss that. Sad they filled that in. Every now and then you'll see some pieces of Splash Mountain with the red coloring sort of peeking through the gray, the new gray paint scheme. Still cool, still cool. I just wish they didn't fill it in. Other than that though, 10 out of 10 so far. I love the attention to detail with like the salt crystals on the wall. It's awesome. Now the loading zone is basically unchanged. It's the same loading zone we all know and love with some new signage and a fresh coat of paint. Nothing really different here. But it's weird, even though the ride is a retheme, everything does feel new, if that makes sense. It's got a fresh sheen to it. Either way, my thoughts up until this point can be summarized with the exterior queue, fine, needs more shade, really, really hot. I guess that was my fault for going in September. Interior queue, really, really cool. Lots of theming, lots of details, especially in the salt mines in Tiana's office. And then loading zone, it's the same. Nothing really changed here. But now it's time to get to it. Time to board our log and embark on our Bayou adventure. Where's all the stuff? All the stuff is gone. There was stuff here. There was the frog. Where's Mr. Frog? There he was. That was his fridge. So this was the beginning. This was the first sort of step I took into the main problem I have with Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and a lot of people have this same problem, and it's that a lot of scenes, a lot of set pieces, and a lot of transitions and space feels empty and wasted when compared to Splash. I'll explain more as we continue on, but that being the first thing I thought of when the log left the station is a little concerning. You gotta love that. That's classic Disneyland Magic Kingdom right there. There's no complaints from me on that portion.
And finally, ignition for our ride. We're going to the mountain. Hey, there y'all are. Louis is up ahead. Let's join him and find a band for our celebration.
Aside from the absence of some sort of set piece, maybe not necessarily Brer Frog or an animal or something at that first lift hill, the outdoor experience in this ride is pretty solid. Also, there's a new fence that Disney built here that's blocking your view of the park, which I really hate. I'm gonna compare it to Splash Mountain here, obviously, because it's what came before. With Splash Mountain, not an inch was wasted because all of those animatronics from America Sings had to be used, so this thing was jam-packed. There's that damn fence. And all the animatronics had to be doing something, whether that be fishing, or in a boat, or singing, or just hopping along. The animatronics were doing something which added to the energy of the ride. That's not exactly present here. The animatronics that are in the ride are great, and they look fantastic, but there's not a ton of them. There are a lot of them, don't get me wrong, but not as many as Splash Mountain. Oh! Oh! Ah! Now, I gotta apologize if the camera's sort of facing up the rest of the video. I'm just trying not to show anybody's faces here, but it's really noticeable as soon as you go down that first drop into the first scene going down the bayou that there's a lot less going on than what was previously there. A lot less kinetic energy.
Tiana was right. There are musicians out here and they are cooking.
No doubt. We'll ask them to join the band for sure.
Now, I skipped it here because it truly is a long wait, but going up to this Tiana animatronic takes so long, it is so quiet, it's weird.
They sure can play, but we've got to keep searching high and low.
How long can I go?
Now, it sounds like I'm whining a lot about this one thing, and that's just because it's my main complaint. The animatronics and the sets are all great, it's just very sparse, although what comes next is absolutely fantastic.
Our little friends below are doing big things.
Where did our friends go? I don't know. We have to find them.
We got any Mondo enjoyers in the chat tonight? That drop while you're being shrinked down to the size of a frog by Mama Odie into the former Laughing Place set is so great, and I actually got a little jump scared by the little flash of light in the fog that happens as soon as you go up that second sort of little bump. It's really, really effective, and it got me. I can't lie, it got me the first time. And this is the scene where I think the ride really shines. Woo! That's Mondo. You can tell that the Imagineers were really allowed to flex their creative muscles in this scene with the colors and the music and the creature design and the animatronics. It's all so great. And I would say that it actually stays on this really great level throughout the rest of the attraction until the very, very end, which we'll talk about. But it's actually really good here through the finale scene. The screen's a little weird, but I'm gonna give it a pass because the rest of the scene is just so well done. But again, I'm just pulled right out of it because, you know, where the family of rabbits formerly were on Splash Mountain, it's just foliage. It's an empty scene. There's not really anything to speak of before you go up the lift, and that's a darn shame. I think that these scenes really need to be filled out more. But when you do finally start going up the lift, it's great. The music is fantastic. The fog that they were talking about how they wanted to make a character at D23 back in 2022, it doesn't really feel alive in this tunnel scene. It really did back during that drop where it jump scared me, but here it's just sort of like set dressing. It doesn't feel as, I guess, playful as I think Disney wanted it to be. But of course, you can't complain about that Mama Odie animatronic, and then of course, the massive plunge back into the Magic Kingdom and then back around for the finale scene. That part, it's always good. It can't be bad. It never gets old. I also didn't record the drop, so enjoy my friend LMG's footage of the drop back down into the exterior portion of the ride before we get to the finale scene, which is great. It's a great time. Now, kinetic energy and wasted space is certainly not a problem in this scene. As you can see, it's jam-packed with screens and sets and animatronics and lights, and there's just so much to look at and so much to take in that it absolutely delivers. And then, of course, you have little things like these two frogs. It fills in the dead space, it gives you something to look at, it makes the ride feel more alive, especially the mural with Tiana's palace in the background. This is all great, this is all fantastic. And then we have, of course, on our left-hand side, Mama Odie.
Y'all would make a big splash at this party. See y'all again soon.
She's great, I love her. They pump in the smell of beignets for this part, which is amazing. I just wish it was open for the queue like Splash Mountain was, but this is amazing.
I see you, you.
Oh.
What a band. Tiana.
They do a really good job here. Also, the frog who watches you as your log goes past. It feels almost Haunted Mansion-y. He's great. He's got a little grin on his face. I got nothing to complain about here. And now, as I'm sure you're aware, the ride is over. So first thoughts, I don't know what everyone was complaining about. That was a lot of fun. The story was not hindered in any way by helping out. It could be a passive observing story, but I mean, it doesn't hurt it too much. It's not a huge problem. But yeah, main complaint would probably be dead space, use of space in there. And I've heard that complaint before, how it might be better at Disneyland's, because Disneyland's is definitely more compact. They had more space they had to fill here, but they should have just filled it, you know? Disney doesn't go halfway. Why go halfway here, you know? The space should have been filled, but at Disneyland, I'm assuming it'll be better. Lack of space, a little bit more kinetic energy would have been appreciated, some more animatronics here and there. Splash Mountain was full of them, right? But overall, like a 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. That ride is great. I think Disney really did themselves a disservice releasing like the GoPro footage of the ride ahead of the attraction's opening, like to the general public. That was a bad idea. Just having it being locked to one point of view, not being able to look around, it made the ride look worse than it actually was, if that makes sense. So is Tiana's Bayou Adventure an absolute mess of a ride, an insult to Tony Baxter's brainchild that came before it? No, it's really not. I'm not sure if the lack of used space in this ride is just me being nitpicky and noticing things, or if it's noticeable to people who aren't really set out to look for that, but that is the only huge problem that jumps out at me. Everything else is great. It's not a flawless attraction by any means, but neither was Splash Mountain. The Haunted Mansion, I would even say, has some flaws, especially at Walt Disney World. But to say that this ride is an absolute failure or that it's just objectively bad is a bit disingenuous, and I think stems from people's appreciation of Splash Mountain as essentially the only log flume at the Disney parks when they were children and even growing up as adults. I mean, it only closed, what, 2 years ago? There are, of course, other people who will hate this ride no matter what for other reasons, but they don't deserve to be talked about. They don't deserve the light of day. The hate for this ride, in my opinion, is absolutely blown out of proportion, and I honestly think it is a worthy successor to what came before. They just have a few operational kinks to iron out, and then maybe some sets to tweak a little bit here and there, but otherwise, fantastic. And I'm excited to see what it'll be like at Disneyland, because Disneyland's and Magic Kingdom's Splash Mountains and Tiana's are different. The same way the Mansions or the Pirates of the Caribbean's are different. And I'm excited to see if the smaller size of Disneyland Splash Mountain sort of fixes the issue that I had with this ride, but only time will tell. November is just around the corner. So there you have it, my completely honest, completely unfiltered review of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Believe me, Disney isn't paying me to say any of this. I wish they did. Disney doesn't like me. Now, I've shared with you my thoughts on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I would love to hear your thoughts on Tiana's Bayou Adventure if you have been on it. Disneyland friends, maybe wait a couple months before commenting on this video, but Disney World friends or Disneyland friends who've been to Walt Disney World since the ride has opened, what are your thoughts on Tiana's Bayou Adventure? Is it good? Is it, fine with flaws? Is it bad? Is it the worst thing that's ever happened to Disney? I'd love to hear your comments down below, just as long as we keep things civil, people. I gotta say, it's good to be back. I'm happy to be back in the studio, although my trip, if you've been paying attention to my social medias last week, was a bit weird at times, and I'm going to make a video on Disney World park ops because I do think that there are some things that need to be called out. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to talk more about Epcot, which is completely open now next week. So I'll see you all there. I'll be wearing a different shirt, probably an Epcot-themed one. Let's go to the end card. Okay, that was a bit dramatic. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the end card for this video on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I'm finally qualified to talk on this ride now. I'm very happy I can finally talk about it because I have an informed opinion on this ride because I've been on it. So I'm excited to talk about Tiana's and Disneyland's Tiana's in future videos. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button down below if you're not already to get more videos like this in your sub feed whenever they, pop up in the sub box. A very special thank you to all of my supporters over at patreon.com/offhanddisney. They get early access to videos. I believe they actually got early access to this video, even though I've been busy flying about the United States. So if that interests you, even just $1 a month will get you access to the perks. It will be linked down in the description below. But if you'd rather just follow me for free on supplemental social media sites, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, I'm at offhanddisney on all of those websites. Makes it easier for me to find you and for you to find me. So that's about it for this video. Everybody, thank you all so much for watching. I hope we can have some really, constructive conversations about Tiana's down below, because I do think the ride is great. It does have its issues, and we should be able to call out those issues while also acknowledging that the ride excels in other areas. It's not black or white. There are gray areas, or I suppose in this case, green areas. Okay, I'm done, okay? I promise. I'm sorry. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.